What's good, everybody? It's Marco from Digital Dash. Today, we're going to be doing a quick trade recap. Well, not quick. Y'all know nothing's quick with me. We're going to be doing a trade recap for today. It's December 29th, 2025. The trade was supposed to be like $236. We went in like 6 contracts deep. So after commission and fees, we ended up with $222.78. So just to get right into this, coming to the screen, I'm going to remove this. Y'all saw the profit. Y'all saw what it was. Coming to the screen, I had a little bit of information from last week, right? So that's what we're working off of. We see that we are at the top of this range. All-time highs are over here. We're looking to at some point run those highs because of the strong rally that was happening last. When I came to the charts, I saw our price positioning. That's what I call it. Where is price relative to the ranges that we identify and relative to whatever the trend is at the time? See, we at the top of the range. I also see volume has been diminishing. Right, so although we are at the top of the range, volume is diminishing. We could start to see a pullback. We could start to see a reversal. So that's the information that I'm taking going forward into today. Now, I tell y'all this all the time. I use my previous trades as information on what I'm going to do moving forward. Right, so Friday, this was the trade from Friday. 15-minute setup, 5-minute setup. Back here on Friday, this was the trade. We ended up getting a setup back here, entering in long and taking this. Originally, it was a 1-to-1 target. We tried to stretch it because we were expecting these highs back here to get ran. Luckily, we got out at 1-to-1, right? As price pushed up, we moved our stop loss up to 1-to-1, and that's what happened. So we were able to buy, and that buy ended up being successful until only until we got out of the trade. Then it reversed, then it would have hit stop loss, then it started selling off. So I'm only including that to say I'm using that information to carry on into today. So the last time we were at the top of the range, right? We're all the way at the top of the range. We're above the range. We tried to long for continuation, and although it was successful because of where our exit was, ultimately price wasn't ready to continue to the upside. It wasn't ready to continue any higher. So I'm taking that information today and saying, okay, well, although my long worked, other people's longs failed on Friday. So going to the 1 hour, we're going to see we have put in an impulse high, a lower high, right? A break below those, a break below the lows. And since then, price has been selling off. So I'm coming to the screen. I'm looking for sales. Boom. That's the preface for the trade. Then we go to the 4 hour. We see that, okay, we're breaking below some areas here. We're breaking below some gaps. We're breaking below some demand. So I'm looking for sales. And then we see this area here where price could stall out. So this morning, this 4 hour candle was forming, and that's what we wanted to pay attention to, right? We wanted to see this close below these lows to show that sellers were still interested, because if not, it could just push below these lows and start turning back around and move higher, right? This sell-off could have just been a pullback into an area, possibly somewhere to trap sellers so that buyers could continue. So this morning, when I saw that we finally got that 1 hour close, that pretty much confirmed that I was looking for a short. Now, here's the crazy thing that happened this morning. This morning, we basically saw this long setup form this morning, right? This it right here. We put in these lows, and this low here was ultimately what we used to target our trade for today. But this was the long trade from this morning that I sat here and watched pass up. Why? Because I was already looking for the sell because of that 1 hour structure and the 1 hour trend. But I saw that we put in this low, broke above these highs here, right? This candle didn't break too strongly above it. If it would have broke a little bit strongly through this high, then it would have looked really good. But there was too much resistance where our target would be at for me to have taken this counter trend trade. But I mention this because these emotions carried into our trade. I saw, market open, boom, price came back down, retesting to the entry, held up, shot straight to the target, right? Straight through target. I was expecting us to sell and get a rejection somewhere around this level, but we pushed through it. So I was like, damn, I could have just took that long and been done for the day, right? Instantly at market open. Could have took that long and been done for the day. So that's what we're dealing with first, right? So since our rejection area was invalid, we saw us push up to here. Now I'm looking for some type of setup to form here. Never formed on the 5 minute. So as we pull back, I'm like, damn, we're all the way down here. If this is going to be valid, I need to see us take these highs out on the 5 minute again, put some lows in, take these highs out, and then I'm looking to short. Never happened. Never happened. But the entire time, I'm knowing that there's rest and liquidity down here to the downside. If price is looking to move any lower, at some point it's going to want to run these lows, right? So that's what we're using to base our short off of. Now, we sat here watching this, watched it push back up. We're like, damn, okay, well, we could rally from the lows and push all the way back up to here, but that's not ideal. I don't want to see us retrace the entire push down, right? Because now that's too much of a just ranging. What happened here, we put in a lower high, and that's much more aligned with what I'd rather see, right? We put in a lower high at the areas where I was already looking to short this morning, but it wasn't running the highs that were put in this morning, but it was at and around the levels that I was already looking for. VWAP at that time had started to move down. So we were getting a rejection around that same level. I'm like, okay, the only thing I didn't like was that it wasn't a 5 minute setup, right? The 5 minute setup would have happened to happen, damn, would have had to happen up here. They had to run these highs and then put in a sell setup. This when the 1 minute came in. Here's the setup on the 1 minute, coming back into our levels, pushing back above the highlighter at. I don't know where the highlighter at, man. How to work this. Here's the low. Here's the impulse high into our level. And then I was watching this price came down. It got aggressive. It started speeding up and got aggressive there. So once we broke below those lows there, it got aggressive heading towards those lows and then got very aggressive breaking down below. We got the break. I was just looking for a retest right back into that level. That's where we took our entry. And then of course our stops above the high. Y'all know this by now. Y'all know this. Got into a trade, took about an hour to hit target, right? But again, our target is less than what we were even looking for in this draw. We just wanted to use this draw as understanding where price could go. That still doesn't mean I'm going to stretch this. And now instead, I'm going to go for a 1.2 to 1 trade because I think it can go here. Yes, I think it can go here, but I'm still just going to take my piece and get out. Right. So we sat through this trade. It was agonizing. It pushed down. I'm watching these tick. Came all the way back. We're up like $180 here at one point. Came all the way back down. We were only $20 in the profit. Came down again. Did it again. It just kept doing this, right? At this point, we're like $200 in profit, and it turned around again. But it just had to continue to take liquidity before it can make its move to the downside, which was it was really uncomfortable to sit through. But again, just paying attention to it, you'll notice it. You'll see, okay, here's a buy setup, sweep to the downside, break above these highs, right? You got people who are probably trying to buy in here with their stop loss below the low of this candle, where our target was, and then targeting whatever they were targeting, right? So once I saw something like this, I'm already knowing, okay, this is the last, and I have it in the live recording. This is hopefully the last buy trap before it pushes through those buyer stop losses and hit our target, right? But there was a whole lot of that happened back here too. You saw that strong push up where buyers thought it was time to step in again, maybe buying at the bottom of this range. Maybe they thought it was time to push back up, or maybe they thought a range was forming. And what happened? Those sellers came in, ran those lows, right? So it was just that happening over and over again. But again, it was a very uncomfortable trade to sit through. But this was just very discretionary in the sense of how long have we been recording? 10 minutes. This was very discretionary in the sense of, okay, damn, I was sitting here this whole time waiting for us to run the highs of this 5 minute candle. And if I was at work, I would have had to set that alert and walk away, and then would have never gotten a trade. But this was a beautiful opportunity, just a simple continuation to the downside play, right? Seeing that lower high get put in, and then seeing a valid 1 minute setup, a beautiful 1 minute setup, right? The way the impulse was put in, the way the clear low was put in, visually it checks out. In theory, it checks out. Seeing the lower high get put in there, right, protecting that before the setup was even created. Seeing supply get created on the 1 minute. Everything here was a beautiful setup on the 1 minute. Seeing us push back in and reject from the moving averages and VWAP, pushing back above it, rejecting from it. All of it was beautiful, knowing that we had a target, a draw to the downside of the target. Right. So all of this was just a beautiful, beautiful trade. And it was a trade that I would have missed had I not considered, okay, let's just take this lower high and see if we're just getting continuation to the downside. Right. Which is not a crazy assumption to make, considering that the 1 hour is NSL. The 1 hour is currently in the downtrend. So that's playing out. So just seeing that, the biggest takeaway here was that the setup happened at an area where we were looking for a rejection to form at, and then it switched and we are moving back into the direction of the overall trend. So, I mean, it just speaks for itself. It speaks for itself in that. But again, to sit through this on a 1 minute chart and then trade take an hour, we got in what 10:55, which was another thing I didn't like, getting in there at around 11 and then getting out 11:30. Sat in this trade for a long time. You feel me? It was very uncomfortable. We got in here at what 10? When did we get in? We got in at 11. We got out at 11. Oh, so maybe it wasn't. It wasn't as long as I thought it was. It was still pretty agonizing. Trade play out like that. But again, very simple. Shift. Y'all know the setup. Very, not nothing crazy at all. Pretty easy. Honestly, a unicorn setup. There's the breaker. There's the fair value gap. So if y'all trade ICT, then there's your entry right there. Y'all know I just trade the wicks of the candles basically. But it worked out. Ended up working out for me because it came right into my entry. So I don't know. And then bigger picture, we knew we had this level, this previous area of support and resistance to target down here. But again, I was just keeping it conservative. With last week's rally, you never know if buyers could step in, where they're willing to step in, if they were going to step in, if we're going to put in new all-time highs. So I just take a piece of the move and then I get out of there. I'm looking to close out December strong. I made some mistakes December. I've given back a lot of money so far this month. Could have had a really great month had I not made some of those mistakes. So I'm just looking to close out December strong, go into the new year, just in the right mental space, executing properly. And then today, trading at home, believe it or not, is always much more difficult than trading at work because, again, if I was at work, this would have just been an opportunity I let pass. Because I'm working with alerts. I can't sit here and watch every tick, wait for something to set up. I just gotta work with what I can. And luckily it happened pretty quick today, but had it not happened at 11, I could just be sitting here still just stressed out watching ticks, ruining my mental ruining my mental state. So that's the only thing I didn't like about this trade is the time and with set up. Would have much rather this set up around 10:30 at the max. Even getting in at 10:50 something is kind of pushing it because you're understanding that things are going to change, and that might have been a reason why we had to sit in for so long and let it do what it had to do. But something like this is stretching. This might even stretch to 2-to-1 trade, which would be nice. But again, just taking a small piece of the move, getting out of it. So that's how we made $220 something today. I'm out the coffee, so I'm yapping. I'm out the coffee, so I'm yapping straight. Thanks for watching, bro.